So basically, I've been listening a lot to podcasts lately, and got me thinking. I don't think there's really any truck driver opinions on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general that I've seen. So I figured I'd just put it out there at least, because I only learned about it this October 2020, and once I started learning about it, it just seemed like it made a lot of sense to me. It's basically, it's about 10 years old or so, and if you're like me, you might have heard about it here or there, over the years, and you don't really hear about the specifics and the details of it, but you hear, oh wow, Bitcoin is going up, and then it had this massive crash. Well, I guess that was just a short time thing, right? But when you actually kind of take some time to look into it, you realize that even though it's had crashes, it's never crashing as low as it's gone up. And there's reasons for that, but it's a lot to get into. So the whole reason I started looking into it is I saw one podcast. I'm pretty sure it was with a guy named Dan Held. He's a big guy. He's big into Bitcoin. He has been the whole time, but he seems like a smart guy. He's worked at a lot of companies, a lot of financial companies. Started a lot of companies, sold them. But there's a lot of smart people talking about Bitcoin if you go and look for them. But basically, I learned about it there first, and as a driver, how hard it is to make your money. It's something you work for, you sacrifice for. You're out here, a month and a half at a time. Some guys are out longer than that, months, and you work hard for that dollar, right? Well, last year in 2020, I haven't looked at the charts recently. I haven't looked at the data recently, but I know it's around 20 to 30% of all U.S. dollars ever printed, were made last year. And in short, what that means is all money ahead of that, all the money up to that point, has been diluted by about 20 to 30%. So if you know anything about inflation, right? The whole idea of inflation being, it's a natural, it's like 2% every year or something. You don't ever really notice it. Well, you don't notice it because it mostly goes into larger price assets like, land, expensive cars. It's from what I've been hearing, basically. Like, yeah, you don't really see it when you go to Walmart, but it creeps in. You probably see it over the course of years and years, but it mostly goes into other things. But it's gonna start coming this upcoming year, from what I've been hearing. You're gonna start noticing things get more expensive on our level, basically, And so when you start, but basically this year, 2021, it's predicted that basically the value of the dollar is going to drop another 20% as opposed to the 2 or 3% inflation. You're looking at like another 20%, and that's going to have a pretty cascading effect, I believe. Just if you've kind of looked at the things I have, it makes a lot of sense. And when that happens, any money that's in your bank, it's like, I'll get like a 0.5% interest rate, 1% interest rate, that's not going to cover that 20% drop. You're not going to see it. It's not like they're going to take 20% out of your bank, but your money is going to be 20% less valuable than it was. And when I understood that, I said, okay, can't let that happen. I worked too hard for my money, and I started really digging in. Now, before I actually bought any Bitcoin, I took about a week to basically do what I could to learn about it. I went on YouTube, I watched a lot of videos, I learned about the basics of it, and I'm not really looking to get into the specific details in this video. I more just want to bring your attention to the idea of why you should have some, Now, some people, they go whole hog into it, They put all their life savings into it. And if they do it at the wrong time, it can be pretty painful, Basically, the way Bitcoin has been working in the past is about every 4 years, it has a very sudden and sharp run-up. It just goes up and up and up and up. And then at its peak, it basically, everyone says, oh, I've made a lot of money. They sell it, drops down about 80% or so. So the people who bought at that peak because they see, oh, it's going up and up and up, I got to get some right now, they end up feeling like, oh no, I'm losing all my money, I need to sell and get out, and that's what brings it back down. But if you bought at the peak in the last cycle, it's called, they're called cycles, it was about $19,000 at the very peak. If you bought right there and you sold it, well, right now it's $48,000. So if you just held on to it, granted, that's 4 years of seeing it go from $19,000 down to about $3,000. It was $3,000 in March. Basically, that was the start of COVID, and people freaked out and they sold, and they need to get some money to cover their families and such, which is understandable. But basically, it was about $3,000 at its lowest, and then from there, since March, it's gone up. October or so, when I first started looking into it, it was about $10,000 to $13,000. And then from there, just a very quick run-up so far. And from what I'm understanding, it's not done yet. From all the information I've seen, and it seems like basically we're looking at least by the end of the year, $100,000. That's like minimum. Most people are estimating about $250,000 to $300,000, but they're not sure. And the reason they're not sure is because you've got large companies and institutions buying it now. They realize now that it's been a few cycles. They say, okay, this is a pattern that's repeating. It's not ever going down far enough that you're going to lose money as long as you just hold it. That's a big thing about Bitcoin, is the best, easiest way to make money with it is to buy it and hold it. Because if you just hold it, it just goes up in value, and it's going to keep doing that. There's a lot of reasons for that. I might get into in another video, if I decide to do another one, which I think I will, because it's something that I personally believe in very strongly. I've tried to basically let everyone know, hey, I think this is going to be a thing. Just get a little, see how you feel about it. And I was able to get my father to get some, my brother, my mom, and I basically, when I first got him to get some, it dropped a little bit, and I was like, damn, because when I first got it, it was just a straight ride up very quickly. I got it at just kind of like the right time, and so the first couple weeks or so, it was a little up and down, but now it's gone about 10, 15, 20% from where they bought it. Maybe a little bit more for my father, because I managed to get him down at, I think around 34,000. And now it's, like I said, it's 48,000. Now it sounds like a lot of money, right? But you gotta realize, a lot of people, they don't realize you don't have to get a whole Bitcoin. Basically, you don't have to put out $40,000. Most places you could buy Bitcoin, their minimum is about $50. So I've been putting it this way to people, like, if you got it in October when I got it, $50, that $50 I put into it is now worth about $170. So I just say, yeah, I put $50 into Bitcoin. I put more than that. But the simpler way is to say, yeah, I put $50 into Bitcoin. It's now worth $170. So what's it going to be when it gets to $200,000? If I was to do the rough math, if it's about 50 right now, 4 times 170, you're looking at what? 320, 300, and then double that, $600 something for $50 investment, right? So $600 plus dollars, very rough, from $50. And why is it going up? It's because the US dollar, is going down. That's what I'm talking about. The inflation is going into assets, and the youngest, most high value, well-known asset right now, because it's getting more and more well-known, is Bitcoin. It's gotten to the point where there was a company called MicroStrategy. In the last summer, they put a whole lot of money into it because they saw where it was going. And not only that, but just about a couple days ago in February, they held a conference for all their big corporate, not even their friends, just any big corporates who wanted to get into Bitcoin, because they said, look, this is how we're going to beat this inflation. We're going to last through this very hard time that's coming up. And shortly after that, Tesla announced, Elon Musk, Tesla. If you're into stocks at all, I had some Tesla shares, it's doing good, but he's the richest man on earth right now, Elon Musk, just above Jeff Bezos of Amazon. Elon Musk put a small amount of Tesla's overall cash into Bitcoin. 1.5 billion, if you can imagine that being a small amount. He put that into Bitcoin. And that's lit another spark. There's been a few sparks along the way, if you look into it. But that's been the big spark. And now I really believe if we get above 50,000, and I say when we get above 50,000, because we absolutely will. There's no doubt. I don't know if it's ever going to go back down below 50,000. It might. Once this cycle gets to its peak, it's probably going to drop down. I don't think personally it's going to drop down that 80%. I think you might look at maybe like a 50%, 60% drop at most. But if you're looking at 50, 60% from 100, 200, 300,000, that is not going to be 50K. So I really encourage everyone who sees this, look into Bitcoin. When you're done driving, if you got some internet, take a couple minutes, just go on YouTube. There's a lot of channels that are really good for information. There's a channel called Trader University. He's an older guy. He talks very clearly. You can tell he knows what he's talking about. He's got a few videos of just, he actually put out a little book on Amazon lately. I didn't read it, but Bitcoin for Beginners. There's so much information available on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general that if you look for it, you're going to be overflooded. My YouTube history is probably about 80% of cryptocurrency right now. Maybe 20% of other silly stuff, but I have not been able to stop listening and learning about it since I started, because I've got skin in the game, a lot of skin, but that skin, it's just it ain't getting burned, it's getting massaged. That skin is getting oiled. That skin is getting a nice feeling on it. So the reason I basically felt the need to put out some kind of video is that, oh damn, that guy's tired bouncing. The reason I feel I got to get something out there is just, I think everybody should have some Bitcoin, because once you really understand how much Bitcoin is being bought by the large companies, and it's important to note, I should have mentioned this earlier, but there is a finite amount of Bitcoin. There will only ever be 21 million, and it's actually less than that, because a lot of Bitcoin has been lost forever. So out of that 21 million Bitcoin, you've got a lot of companies who are buying up as much as they can with an awful lot of money, and they're not buying it to sell back later. They're not buying it to be like, oh, all right, I'm gonna make a 10% profit and flip it. They're buying it for the long run. So once they buy it in their hand, strong hands is what they call it. That's Bitcoin that you ain't ever gonna see again. So what about your hands? Let's get some Bitcoin in your strong hands, because that's what I've been doing. Because honestly, I don't think there's any way it's not going to be an absolutely life-changing investment for you. Even at this point, that's the craziest thing. There's basically price predictions based on a guy's work. It's called the Stock to Flow X model. And basically what it does is it compares Bitcoin to gold, to silver, I think to real estate also. And it says, okay, if there's this much available and it comes out at this rate, then gold is at this price, silver is at this price, and then Bitcoin was at this price for these past 10 years. And that model has been very, very accurate. And right now that model is predicting 288K as a median price between 2021 and 2024, meaning rough middle average price of Bitcoin between those years, $288,000. At the end of, I believe, 2024 or maybe 2028, this same model that's been frighteningly accurate, extremely accurate, that same model is predicting $3 million for Bitcoin. So if we go back to my $50 investment at $13,000, if at $100,000, it's about what, $400 worth of $50. That $50 would become about $400 worth. And then if we triple that again to roughly $1 million, 900,000, was that $1,200? 3 times that, because to 3 million, you're looking at what? $36,000 from $50. You want to put $50 in? I don't think you can lose. If some unforeseeable event happens, you lose $50, you're not going to mind. A lot of people suggest putting in 1% of your net worth, because that way, if it hits that crazy 100 times amount, which really isn't that crazy, then you've basically doubled your net worth in a few, a couple, maybe a decade or so. That's roughly when they're estimating it, right? What is it, 100 times 50,000? You're looking at 5 million, so yeah. And, the price guesstimates do go that high. But the time is dwindling. You're still going to make some money. But once Bitcoin hits, 100,000, 200,000, you're going to be sitting there thinking like, man, I could have got some when it was 48,000, when it was 50,000, when it was 60,000. I think that. I say, man, I could have got some when it was 3,000. I first bought Bitcoin when it was 13,400. I remember it's pretty specifically. That's when I spent my first $50 into it. It's been up and down since then, mostly up. And I just thank God I got into it when I did. Thank God for Bitcoin. I've basically quadrupled my life savings. I don't think everyone should go whole ass into it. The reason I did, I don't have any kids. I don't have any real liabilities. I don't have any debt. I had a good amount of savings. I'm fairly young. If God forbid something terrible happens, I lose all my money, I'm young enough, I'm fit enough, I could start over. I've got a driving job, You know how it is when you have a CDL, everyone wants you. You're always going to have a job if you keep your nose clean. Well, that's what I said. I said, well, I believe in it. Whole ass. Look, in closing, just seriously, look into it. You know, take one night, start looking around on YouTube, you know, just sort of say maybe Bitcoin for beginners videos or, you know, something like that. It's a very deep well of knowledge, and the more you learn, the more you're gonna believe in it, I think. And I say believe, right? Believe might not be the right word, because I do believe in it, but it's more certain than that. You know, it's like I know, you know, because as you learn about the fundamentals of it, you learn why it's certain. Because right now, you might not know anything about it. Maybe you do. Maybe you know something, right? I don't know. But if you don't know anything about it, you're like, what? 50,000 to 3 million? Get the hell out of here. I ain't doing that. You don't know. You haven't learned about it. You don't know why people feel that way. But you could, you know. I think I took about a week to learn about it. Like I said, a week to learn about it. And I said, all right, going in. So anyway, look, I might do another video just talking about the specifics of it, you know, getting a little more information. But I honestly, as I hear about all these large companies and corporations buying up all the Bitcoin, I just think, man, it's going to be less and less available for everybody else who could have had it. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, and it's getting bought up quickly. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Just wanted to get the word out there to the fellow drivers, because I think it's important. You know, I think it's where the future's heading, and if you don't get in now, you're going to regret it. So, that's about it. We'll see if I make another video. I think I will. Anyway, later.